5, 6, 7. E is the next letter for 8. How about this one? Right now we're looking at mental set. Includes a tendency to use previously successful. So do you have, we should be up. Can you ask David if he's on?
Check my thing now.
Awesome.
Yes, it is live.
Okay, so tell him he can chime in and you will be his voice. Thank you. Thank you, Mikey. You're awesome. How do you know these things?
Remind me on Thursday before you come in.
Okay.
Because it's probably still going to be broken.
Oh, okay. So did you MacGyver it? Did you?
No.
No, you just used knowledge and skill to.
I might need it.
But you used problem solving to figure it out.
Well, I used problem solving last week to figure it out, and then
Use previous knowledge
did
from
it
last
again.
week.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So I want,
you're good now for both.
what's this thing?
You don't want that.
Okay, but I want this because I want him to see up there. That's better, right? He's seeing,
What'd you do? Oh, well, that's both. It's you want.
now it's, they should be seeing the screen. And I'm in the corner of the screen.
Well, you want to put this over there then.
What?
This is program, so they're seeing you and you.
No, I don't want that.
So,
Oh,
and then there you go.
oh,
This is what they're seeing right here.
oh, I forgot that. I forget.
It's okay.
So
Program, preview, it's labeled.
how do I go back to this?
Cut.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that happened when I was pushing all the buttons.
Yeah, but don't forget to put this back up.
Okay.
There you go.
All
It's a
righty,
little
thank you.
delayed.
All right,
Okay.
let's keep going.
Yeah, right now you're on the slide, so I think that's what David wants.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you should see the slides right now with me in the corner.
eventually.
All righty, so mental set. Did you figure out the second one? Gave you time? Don't get fixated on one way of doing it. Use the mental set of using previously successful solution
Just want to say hi again.
Okay. Don't have the mental set, but you're going to do it the same way as last time, though it's similar to the last time. Very similar. Look at the last letter of each of those numbers. 1, O-N-E. 2, T-W-O. 3, T-H-R-E-E-E. 4, 5, 6, 7. So what? The next one would be T for 8. We're looking at a mental set.
Wait. You go back.
Maybe, yep.
Oh, okay. I see.
So a mental set includes the tendency to use previously successful solution strategies without considering others that are more appropriate for the current problem. People do that in life all the time. Again, think past this class. Yes, learn these definitions for the test, but think past this and how people do this in life. And your job will be to help them get past that mental set. My family has always done this way. Husband asks his wife, why do you cut off the end of the ham, both ends of the ham? Well, I don't know, my mother did, let's ask her. They go to Mom, why do you cut off both ends of the ham? I don't know, my mother did. Go to Grandma, Grandma, why do you cut off both ends of the ham when you cook it? It didn't fit in my pan. 3 generations have been doing it, that mental set. And that happens with many things in life that are more important than a ham. In the 2-letter series that we just did, the mental set likely hindered you because you viewed the letters in the series as single entities and looked at the relationships between them, not each of them separately. So insight is a new way to interpret a problem that immediately leads to a solution. Any idea what part of the brain is involved with that? No, but close. The anterior temporal lobe, right above the right one, actually. So when they send stimulation there, people can do these matchsticks problems easier. It just fascinates me that they can stimulate a part of the brain and make you think better. All right, so this equation is not correct. 4 plus 3,
4 equals 3.
4 does not equal 3 minus 1. So move only one matchstick, but do not remove it. So change the position of one matchstick to make that correct.
Can we move it? Got it.
You cannot remove it, but you have to move it.
Just one?
Just one. Oh, I can't remember the answer to this. I don't think
just take.
I figured this out, and I don't think I wrote down the answer. Let me see. Hang on.
You can do it if you move
No, I didn't. No, just one. 4. Come on, David, you can do this. 4.
I'll just put it through the equal sign.
I think that would work too, but they're going to make it equal something.
Move the top match between, or either one of them.
Oh, I know. I've got it.
4 minus 3 equals 1. So move one match over the other one.
So move 4 minus 3 equals 1. That would work. I took this one and put it here. 3 plus 1. Oh, no, that wouldn't work. Yeah, she got it. Good job. So, overcoming blocks. Key questions. Is my interpretation of the problem unnecessarily constraining possible solutions? Am I fixated? Do I have a mental set? Can I use any of the objects in the problem in a novel way to solve the problem? Physical world. Do I need a new type of solution strategy? Is the way I'm studying not working? Find another way. All right, solution strategies. We have algorithms, which is a step-by-step procedure that guarantees a correct answer to a problem. Algebra. We have equations. Those are examples of algorithms. You follow those rules, and you get the correct answer. Heuristic is a problem-solving strategy that seems reasonable, and past experiences have shown it to be reasonable, and it pays off for a quick answer. But it can lead to an inaccurate answer sometimes. We'll look at different heuristics. Let's look at an example. Unscramble those letters. Who got it?
Psychology?
Psychology, yeah. Now, did you use an algorithm or?
There's no key in there.
There's supposed to be.
I was thinking psychology too, but I didn't.
I'm sorry.
That's why it says psychology.
Yeah, my transfer skills weren't so good there. So did you use an algorithm? Did you take one letter and match it to all the other letters? I think 600. It's either 6,000 or 600,000 times you'd have to do that to use that algorithm. No, you used a heuristic that made it faster. How about this one?
Terribly?
Nope.
Is it what?
Pardon?
I think David said betrayal.
Yes, correct.
Good job, David.
Yay, David. Betrayal. Smarty pants, as long as he didn't use Google. Yeah, there's a heuristic. You didn't try 600,000 times. So different types of heuristics. Anchoring and adjustment. Use an initial estimate and then adjust according to that. For example, you meet a new person and you judge them maybe by their clothes, their hair, their shoes. And make, oh, so they're probably this type of person. That would be anchoring and adjusting. You have this much information, and then you adjust your opinion from that information. For the,
Well, wouldn't that be like assumption?
yeah, kind of.
So
That would be both.
anchoring and adjustment, assumption. Is it similar?
Similar.
Same thing?
Take this example. Would you rather have $1 million or a penny doubled every day for a month?
Penny double every day.
Because you've heard that before, right? If you haven't heard that before, what is your thought? Oh, doubled 2, then I'd have 4, then I have 8, then I'd have 16. Yeah, I'd rather have $1 million. So your anchor is 8, maybe 16, and adjust accordingly, but you didn't fully adjust. You didn't algorithm it out. If you algorithm it out, you're going to end up with $5,368,709.12.
I think we talked about this during leadership. On day 26, it actually finally looks like you make a profit. But every single day before that, looks like you just made the wrong decision.
Interesting. How about if you fold a piece of paper in on itself 100 times, how thick would it be? Everyone give a guess. Get a guess from David, too. Whoever's got him.
If you fold paper 100 times,
How thick would it be?
it's impossible.
6 inches we've got? 8 inches?
No, that's good.
Yeah, it would be impossible, but if you could. Everyone give a guess. Just throw one out.
4 inches.
4 inches.
10 inches.
10 inches. What's David's answer? He should be able to answer online in this chat.
5 inches.
5 inches.
7.
7. 6, 6. It would be 800 trillion times the distance between the Earth and the Sun. I find that very hard to even fathom, but
How does someone take the time to do that?
I know. So that's anchoring and adjustment. We all
It would burn.
anchored it after
Okay.
folding it maybe 10
You
times.
know how we said if we were to assume somebody with their appearance, but then
Yes.
we were to get to know them,
Yes.
then we would adjust our
Differently.
perspective to where we first thought who they were.
Mm-hmm. The same as when you did the math for the penny, you wouldn't change.
Yeah.
You would throw out that anchoring adjustment. All right, working backward is attempting to solve a problem by working from the goal state backward to the start state. For example, water lilies growing in a pond double in area every 24 hours. On the first day of spring, only one lily pad is on the surface of the pond. 60 days later, the entire pond is covered. On what day is the pond half covered? I can tell those who have it. I know it. Now remember, we're talking about working backward as a heuristic, as a strategy. Heuristic is a strategy. Strategy. Heuristic, working backward. Working backward heuristic. So if you start with 60 and work backward, how full would the pond be after the 59th day? Okay, everyone's supposed to be thinking about this. Working backward.
If it's on the 59th day, that means it's half full because it doubles every day. So therefore, the 60th day.
59th day. On what?
59th day it's half full. The 60th day it is full.
Right. It says the 60th day it's full. On what day is it half covered? The 59th. Yeah. From working backward. If you tried to work forward, like, you're not going to be able to do it. Oh, wait. Okay, a practical example of that. Steve Jobs, who's he? Okay. 1997, at the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, some guy was heckling him and insulting him. He told him that you don't even understand the technology that you're talking about. And he responded, one of the things I've always found is that you've got to start with a customer experience and work backward to the technology. And that became his vision. Start with the customer, what the customer is looking for and wanting, and then figure out how to do it. That's working backward heuristic. Means ends analysis heuristic. Breaking down the problem into sub-goals. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. Most people that you guys are going to be working with are going to be normal. You are a normal person working with normal people with normal problems. They just need help getting through those problems. Means end is a big one. So a classmate or someone at the BI comes to you and they're just so overwhelmed. I've got this and I've got this. I think I'm just going to quit. I can't do it all. Means end analysis. This is a definition for something you already know. Help them break it down into subparts. All right, your task here. Pretend you have, wait a minute, I have to remember my instructions. Yeah. Take those 3 blocks, and your twos, just use those as 3 blocks. They're doubled, so just 3 blocks. And pretend you have this. And you can move only one at a time, and you can use 2 pegs, so you can use 3 piles total.
Right.
Moving one at a time, recreate that stack, but you cannot put a bigger one on top of a smaller one. Go.
Do we start on the left or on the right?
Start on one side and get them stacked on either one of the other ones.
So
He did it. Now, count how many moves it takes. Do it in 7 moves.
okay.
Do you need me to do it again? You count it?
Yeah,
So you want 7 moves
7 moves.
exactly or less?
Or less. I think it has to take 7, I'm not sure.
7.
Well done. You're good at breaking things down into smaller. You did it too?
What?
No, he broke it down into sub-goals.
I think I just remember from when I was little. Yeah, I think so.
So you have to get,
Because I didn't
first you
really
have to
think
get,
it through. It just muscle memory, I think.
you have to get the big one, break it down to getting 2. The biggest one and the second biggest one. You got it?
You can move keep the thing back this way.
All right, Keiko, show us.
Seems easier to
Just,
Should I go there?
yeah.
You had a nice head plain blocks.
Yeah, that's why.
Had a rock.
Can they, oh, wait. Let's David see you. Hang on. Okay.
David, can you see me?
No,
Oh,
you need to move over by the front desk.
come up to where I am.
Get as close to
You need to get by the,
Yeah, get up. Do it on the lectern there. You can do it on the lectern. He'll see it. Should be- Yeah, he sees you. Woo! Good job. Can you collect those? So I don't make sure I don't.
always.
Well, here, wait.
You're gonna be upside down.
Actually, I'll do it so you're not touching other people's objects.
Well, you're.
Is there a phone? Okay.
Oh, now I've got to figure out how to put them all back on the thing correctly. Thank you. Thank you. Okie dokie. All right, that's the Tower of Hanoi. Whew. Breaking it down into smaller tasks. What's that called?
Means and analysis.
Means and analysis. All right, when you're studying, well, we'll get to that later, I think. Probability and uncertainty. We live in an uncertain world.
You need to associate.
Oh, thank you. However, we suffer from an illusion of certainty, an emotional need for certainty when none exists. How have we seen that in today's world? Coronavirus. People are going crazy because the world has become uncertain. Coronavirus, the violence, because we crave knowing, that certainty. One reason under uncertainty often, our reasoning under uncertainty often goes awry. We see that in today's world as well. How about you? I don't know, maybe you had a boyfriend or girlfriend break up with you and you had a test the next day. Or that uncertainty, or someone was in the hospital and there was an uncertainty. That's a better uncertainty. It's hard to focus, it's hard to think, right? Be aware of that when you're working with people. Uncertainty plays a big part. Oh, but what, as Christians, what one certainty do we have? Salvation, God, sovereignty of God, our purpose in life to glorify Him in all things. God is true. Which is a wonderful thing to have that one certainty when you have nothing else. Probability and uncertainty. Probability of an event is the likelihood that the event will happen. If there's a 0.5 probability of it occurring, it is maximally uncertain. It is maximally uncertain because it is equally likely to occur and not to occur. So we try to reduce the uncertainty about the world to find out how various events are related to each other. Yeah. Two main heuristics used to make judgments about probabilities are representative and availability. Representativeness includes rule of thumb for judging the probability of membership in a category by how well an object resembles that category. The more representative, the more probable. It tends to be used because the mind categorizes information automatically. So hear about a person who likes to write, read, and interpret poetry. Is it more likely that they're a hockey fan or an English professor who likes hockey?
Oh, is that what that Venn diagram?
Yeah. Here's our little Venn diagram. Probably can't see it. It's very light. We have hockey. We have reading. What is the probability that they're a hockey fan or an English professor who likes hockey? Yeah. The probability is equal. But because we categorize reading and writing and being an English professor, we would say they're more likely to do that. That one is kind of difficult for me to wrap my mind around. I might not even be able to answer your question. Yes, Kiko?
Sorry, I just keep hearing a very subtle yet loud noise.
It's a whistle, it's coming from.
But I can't hear it when.
It sounds like a messenger call.
Like when I'm talking, you're hearing it?
Like I can't hear you.
You can't hear,
I hear the noise, I can't.
you hear the noise, but you can't hear me.
Yeah.
I hear it,
I can't.
but I don't think it has anything to do with this.
I know.
You gotta adapt.
There we go. Focus. Try not to fix on that and fix on me. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to fix it. Read my lips? Okay. That's what we just talked about. So that's the conjunction fallacy. Involves incorrectly judging the overlap of two uncertain events to be more likely than either of the two events. What do you think? If a coin lands head up 8 times in a row, is there a greater chance of it being tails on the 9th toss?
No, still the same probability.
But how many, if they were tossed in the coin and you had to say it, how many would say tails? Probably a lot of us. Well, it hasn't been tails, it's got to be tails soon. But the probability is still 50-50.
Have you ever seen Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead?
No.
Okay. In the beginning of it, they have a coin toss where they keep tossing this coin and it keeps landing on heads. And it's probably been like 50 or 60 times that they've done that, and every single time it's landed on heads. And I don't know, it's just really funny because they're not that smart, but then they try to like go into the philosophy of probability. Very interesting, highly recommend it. Great.
Rosencrantz and
Rosencrantz
I
and
can't.
Guildenstern Are Dead.
Just can't
Guildenstern is dead. Is it a movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
good stuff.
Email it to me because I will never remember that and I don't want to watch this whole thing to remember. Okay, so if you said tails, that would be the gambler's fallacy, an erroneous belief that a chance process is self-correcting, that an event that has not occurred for a while is more likely to occur. People would do that in game, like basketball games, and so he hasn't made a free throw shot in so long, he's due for one. Still doesn't really have anything to do with it. That's a gambler's fallacy. Availability heuristic. What's a heuristic again? Cairo. What's a heuristic?
You just read it. A little thumb that.
No, this is the availability heuristic. I shouldn't have put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I should have just paid more attention.
Well, it's a
It
definition.
cannot Quick, correct answer, but it may lead to no answer or incorrect one.
Yeah, it's a strategy that often works, but not always. For example, availability heuristic. When we think of more, are there more words that start with R or have R in the third position?
Ooh. I feel like there's more words that start with an R.
And why do we think that? Because we can think of more words that start with R. They're more available in our mind. It's easier to think of words that start with R.
Yeah.
But in actuality, there are many more that have R as the third letter.
Double R.
But it's hard to
Yeah,
think of those words because it's just hard to think of them.
Like the third place.
But
Resurrection.
railroad, resurrection, Reno, reliability, those are all easy. They're available. Those words are available. So I'm going to use the available strategy or available heuristic
Oh my god.
for my answer. What?
You get it?
No, I just having problems with my word.
His computer doesn't allow him to edit notes.
Oh,
So
that's,
we have to send them
oh.
that. I think
Well, thank you for helping him out.
I think it might be something wrong
To
with it.
fill in the blanks.
I think it's just with his Word ID document.
Let's keep going.
I have the same problem.
Because airplane crashes are so visually dramatic and highly publicized by the media, they tend to be very available in our memories, just like words starting with R. This availability leads us to greatly overestimate our likelihood of dying in a plane crash. After 9/11, I read the statistic, I can't remember what it was, but a lot of people died in car crashes, a lot more, because people were not flying. And more people die in car crashes than they do in plane crashes. So why do we rely on these heuristics, strategies that sometimes lead to correct but often incorrect judgment? Because they're fast, they're intuitive, and a lot of them are just unconscious thinking. So how do we test our hypotheses? 4 ways we'll look at. Confirmation bias tends to seek evidence that confirms one's beliefs. 246, what's the rule that generated this sequence? Throw out answers. I have a rule in my head.
It's adding like 2.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
Even numbers?
Incorrect. I have a rule in my head. What generated 246? Have you ever played that game? You sit around in a circle and you say, Cody can enter, but Rebecca cannot.
Oh, like the green glass door?
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called a green glass.
And you can say
Moon you can go through, sun can't.
yes.
Yeah.
So you look, and it finds out that Cody has his legs crossed and she doesn't, so Cody can enter.
That's a no.
That's the rule, but the same principle, I think. So that's what this is. 246. It is not
I'm out.
every second number.
I think
Oh yeah, you're supposed to. That's right. You're supposed to say, will
there's one of those
8, 10, 12 work?
hypotheses I have, but that's it. Can I state my hypothesis?
Go ahead and start over and give me numbers, and I'll tell you if it fits the rule or not.
1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6.
No, does not fit.
Not good with numbers.
You don't have to be.
This is the only.
Mine is
Second grader knows this rule.
It's going like 8 minus 2.
Give me numbers for an example.
Alright, let's say 10 minus 2, 8
No,
minus 9.
this isn't minus. This is 246. This isn't math. Well, David, give us some numbers. See if you can figure it out.
David, we need your genius. Hurry up.
Did you give me a set?
You're adding 2 to each number. Right.
So give me a set of numbers and I'll tell you if it conforms.
2 plus 4 is 6.
8, 10, 12?
Yeah.
8,
Yeah,
10, 12 does conform, yes.
Yeah, 'cause you're just adding 2 to it. It's so simple. I remember this in math.
I thought you were figuring.
But keep going. You haven't figured out the rule yet.
Okay, never mind.
16, 18, 20.
16, 18, 20. Yes, that conforms.
Multiples of 2.
Incorrect.
The rule is where I say it is.
I made the rule.
But not every odd number, only even numbers.
So give me an example. You're supposed to give an example.
2, 4,
And then technically you're out if you guess, but
2, 4, 6,
I'm out.
2, 4, 6, 8. Incorrect.
12. Even numbers.
Incorrect. That is not the rule.
You add 2 to each number.
Everyone is doing a confirmation bias this way. You're doing things that you think it is.
But what really is?
The real one is numbers. So 2, 3, 4 would also conform. The answer is numbers that are higher than the previous
The one in
number.
the middle.
No, each number is higher than the number before it.
Yeah.
10, 11, 15. But, yeah. Very simple. See, you didn't have to know math for it. But confirmation bias is you have something in your head that you think it is. Everyone thought it was every odd number, every even number, or multiples of 2. That's confirmation bias. Another example, 4 cards below have information on both sides. On one side of the card is a letter, and on the other side is a number. Consider this rule. If a card has a vowel on one side, keep your brains on here, then it has an even number on the other side. Select the card or cards that you definitely must turn over to determine whether the rule is true or false for these 4 cards. Oh, gotta keep moving.
Interesting numbers. Interesting numbers.
Can I mute for a second?
It's an even number. So 2, 4, 6. But then if it's a constant,
Some of you aren't even trying.
real?
All right, remember confirmation bias is people tend to typically try to confirm your hypothesis. Go the other way, try to disconfirm it.
So you would have to flip over either K or 7
Right.
to see if they had an even or a vowel. And if they did, then this hypothesis would be incorrect.
Correct. Because it says
The vowel has an even number.
is an even number on the other side, but it doesn't say if it has an even number, it's necessarily a vowel. So anyway, that's confirmation bias. Illusory correlation, the rest are not as hard. Erroneous belief that 2 variables are related when they actually are not. For example, wearing a certain color shirt and getting a good grade on a test. Wives' tales.
It's not like a shirt.
Exactly, with my lucky shirt. If you see a cat cross the road, you're going to have a bad day. That's illusory correlation, because one day a cat crossed your path and you tripped, probably because this cat scared you. Illusory correlation. James 1:19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Many, many fights, arguments are from miscommunications or illusory correlations. Every time I walk into the house, she does this. You're going to have to help people see that just because this happens doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to happen. Happen once doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue to happen. Belief perseverance. Tendency to cling to one's beliefs in the face of contradictory evidence. Could Christians be accused of this? Oh, yeah. Someone comes to you who's been to a very secular and very liberal psychologist. You say, well, they're telling me that I need to stop listening to you and listening to my preacher and reading my Bible so much because it's not helping me. we do have faith in the Word of God. But we do have to be careful that our faith is biblical faith and not just traditional faith. Because over the years, a lot of traditional faith has been proven wrong because it wasn't based on biblical faith. It wasn't based on Scripture. And people will point that out. See, Christians used to say this, and now we know that that's wrong. Well, Christians said that, but they were wrong because it wasn't in the Bible. Next one, person who reasoning. Questioning a well-established finding because you know a person who violates that finding. I'm going to eat steak, baked potato, and loaded with butter and sour cream and cheese and salt for dinner. I think that's healthy because my grandfather did so for 50 years and he lived to be 90 years old. I saw a documentary interviewing elderly people. Live right, eat healthy, live a good life. That's why I'm healthy. And the last guy on the thing said, wine, women, and song. Well, I know a guy who lived to be 100. They were interviewing people 100 years old. I know a guy who lived to be 100, and he lived this way. So that's a person who reasoning. All right, we're going to fly through some of this. If you or someone you know has a doctor's diagnosis, make sure they understand the results of the testing. They often will say there's a range of probability. So you have this disease with a range of probability that this test might be wrong. So make sure that you or they know that range and what that means. Suffice that for that.
Is that
And you're-
tested for any type of mental illness, or is it only for a physical illness?
They're talking about physical illnesses, but I would assume mental illnesses too, but most mental illnesses are not scientifically testable.
Right.
So there'd be even more of a range. And your book goes through details. You will not need to do any math in all this. Just you can read it. Intelligence testing started in the late 19th century in England and in the early 20th century in France. Huge nurture-nature controversy. Are you all familiar with that? So, Crystal, are you familiar with it?
A little bit, yeah.
Explain it to us a little bit. Just general.
Either environment or biology is what kind of impacts a person's behavior, personality, and stuff like that.
I'm thinking nurture would be environment, nature would be biological. Yep, good. Francis Galton emphasized nature and the genetic determination of intelligence. He was kind of found that his ways were not very predictable. Binet and Simon emphasized nurture. They developed the first accepted intelligence tests. They used the concept of mental age. They took their academic age, divided by their physical age, but then as a person got older, that made their IQ keep going down as the older they got, so kind of went away from that. Binet, we already just said that. Wechsler is probably the most commonly used, most accurate, according to your book, from what they've found thus far. He developed his own test called the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. He also had one for children. There's a battery of verbal and performance tests. So be familiar with the term, the Wechsler tests. How many of you have taken that? I don't know how I got it, my sons to take it somehow. Wechsler.
So like your IQ?
Yeah, for intelligent quotient.
I took a series of it, but it was through a game years ago. It's like, I think it's called Brain Game.
Oh yeah, you can find
Nintendo DS.
a million of them online.
It's actually
see what your IQ is. But this Wechsler one is one that would be reliable. Okay, intelligence tests have a standardization, a reliability, and a validity. Definitions to know. Standardization is a process that allows test scores to be interpreted by providing test norms. It's standardized. It's given to a large population, and then the mean and median are found. Examples. Which of these pieces go together to make a puzzle? What pieces would you have to put together for the green and yellow one? If they were like on cards. Are you all working on this? Everyone's looking at their computer. I think everyone should be looking at the thing. If you put F first and then E after that, you'd have that top puzzle. How about the other one?
Oh, so we're supposed to, gotcha.
Oh. This would be another one. When I say go, draw a line through each red square and yellow triangle. That's just being able to visually do things quickly. That's the type of things that would be on a test. Then, of course, you have the standard deviation, back from chapter 1. He set the mean to be 100 and the standard deviation to be 15. And again, I'm not going to have you do any math on this. More on terms. Reliability. The extent to which the scores of a test are consistent. So you give the test several different times. Or you have if you're taking tests like this and they seem like they're asking the same question 30 times. So if you answer the same consistently of each of those categorized questions, then the test is going to be shows that it's reliable. Or every other question has to do the same thing. So reliability is the test score consistent? Validity, does it measure what it's supposed to measure? If you come in here next Tuesday and I give you a test on the changing of tree colors and photosynthesis, I didn't test you what it's not a valid test of what you've learned in psychology. A valid validity, does it test what it's supposed to test? Content-wise, and does it predict behavior that's related to what's being measured by the test? If a test is valid, it will also be reliable. But just because it's reliable, it can be reliable but not valid. So I tested you on the photosynthesis, very reliable test, but it wasn't valid for psychology. Are you with me? Oh, good. Controversies about intelligence, general versus specific, and nurture versus nature. General versus specific. I talked about the G factor, which is general. And Spearman believed that the G factor was more important, rather than the subtests, which were more specific knowledge. I'll go through these a little fast. Types of intelligence, theories of intelligence. Cattell and Horn talked about fluid intelligence versus crystallized. Fluid is reasoning, memory, speed of information process, being able to put the X through the red squares and the yellow triangles. Crystallized intelligence is accumulated knowledge. I'm going to say this now. I feel like I have it in notes later, but everything that you're learning 3 different categories of stuff. You're learning terms that you already know or that are obvious. You're learning terms like this that you already know, but that you're learning a definition for a new vocabulary word, fluid and crystallized, for concept you already know. And then there's some that you're learning new concepts. Come back to that. Theories of intelligence. Howard Gardner proposed a theory of 8 independent intelligence. This is again another theory, something that people believe. Linguistic, logistical, spatial, musical, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. Let's look at those. Linguistic has to do with language. Math has to do with math and science. Spatial, reasoning about visual spatial relationships. Being able to put a cube into a square hole. Some people are very good at that. Some people are not. Musical intelligence. Kinesthetic, skill in bodily movements. Those who are good in sports are intelligent in bodily kinesthetics. Understanding yourself, intrapersonal. Interpersonal, understanding other people. Okay, so you want to remember the difference between these two. How can you relate that to something you already know? Where have you heard inter before? Thinking mostly you.
International.
Oh, okay, that too. Intramural. I think of intramural sports. What is intramural sports? It's with other
Other people.
Yeah. So inter is going to be other people. Intra, like introspective, you're thinking about yourself. So just this, we talked about the different strategies of learning and memory. We talked about different strategies of memory and memorizing and applying it to yourself. That's an example. Interpersonal, intramural sports, having to do with others. Different types of intelligence. And that was Gardner. Sternberg had a different theory. Okay, not 8 types of intelligence, there are 3. Analytical, practical, and creative. Analytical is academic stuff. Practical is common sense, like street smarts. Okay, he's no good in math, but he knows what to do in a pinch. And creative, the ability to solve problems with unusual situations. 3 different types. Keith Stanovich, he says, intelligence by itself is not sufficient to explain such thinking. Dysrationalia, used to describe the failure to think and behave rationally despite having adequate intelligence. Your parents accuse you of dysrationality when you're in middle school or early college. You're intelligent enough, what were you thinking? Nurture versus nature. Every psychologist will say that it is both. But to the extent of how much it is of each, there's controversy. Studies have been done with twins and adopted kids, keeping the twins together, studying twins that have been raised apart, who have been adopted. And that's how they've done these studies. Hereditability is the index of the degree of variation of a trait within a given population due to heredity. So if they do a study of American children, hereditability says that that's true for that population, but not necessarily for Asian children. And that's what I just said. The Flynn effect, suggests that in the United States and other Western industrialized nations, average intelligence scores have improved steadily over the past century. Why do you think so? Okay, this is where everyone answers. Class participation time. Which, by the way, your grades should be right now. If they're not, let me know. Because I added participation grades and everything.
Class participation grades. Is it just random?
I think it's 100 by the end of the semester. About 10 a week, I think. So the Flynn effects. Average intelligence scores have improved. Why?
We seek the importance of education.
Uh-huh. Why else?
Could it also be growing familiarity with the kinds of tests that are taken?
Mm-hmm. And notice it's more in developed countries than underdeveloped countries or developing countries. What else?
I think the need of being the importance of knowing and learning is so high here. Because
Mhm.
when I go back to Brazil, there's places I still go that people can't read,
Mm-hmm.
but they live in the middle of nowhere, so it's not really.
They don't need to. Yeah. So, yeah. Environmental factors. Oh, we didn't mention nutrition. That would also, doesn't necessarily people who can't read aren't as intelligent,
Oh, definitely.
but people who are malnourished would be.
Yeah.
And more education, which is what you were saying. That is a Flynn effect. Daniel 12:4, but you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, talking about the end times. Until the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Okay, that's it. Come back to me. All right, I'm going to, remember it must have been in memory. I thought it was coming up in this chapter. We talked about method of loci and different methods of study. Are you remembering that? I really want you to try that. I told you there's 3 different types of vocabulary you're learning. Take especially the ones that a new concept and a new word. And try. I want you to try the method of loci. Take one, I don't know, standardization. And go in your bed and study it and learn it, apply it to yourself, apply it to life situations. You use all those things until you fully understand it and can, I say, process that allows test scores to be interpreted by providing test nouns, understand what that means, and say standardization. And then go somewhere else. Sit under a tree. Or go under your bed and study it. Is there space under your beds? Go someplace strange and study it. Do that with 10 of them. And just an experiment. See how it goes. And report back. Tell me how. You can even do that between now and Thursday because you don't want to study all just Sunday and Monday for this test, right? Right? You're studying today. I spend about 12, 13 hours on this class. So if this is a 3-hour class, you guys should be spending at least 9 hours on it. Studying, reading, and stuff. If maybe you're an average academically, if you need more, do more. We probably don't have time to start, no. We have not done brain injuries, correct?
For Walsh,
Yes.
we haven't discussed it.
You've read it.
Chapter 5. It's
Okay. Okay, we'll discuss that briefly on Thursday, and then we'll take notes on it.
You wish to go ahead and read Walsh 6 then, Thursday, or?
Whatever is in the syllabus.
I think it's Welsh today and grades 6 on Thursday.
Well, Greg 5 was today.
But the test is Tuesday. The Griggs Griggs 4, 5, and 6, Welsh 4 and 5 are on the test Tuesday.
I think Thursday we should do that.
So Thursday we'll
Game we played.
we'll discuss head injuries, and then I have another activity to review all of it. Any questions?
Is our project due next Tuesday?
It's due very soon.
I'm thinking Thursday.
Yeah.
What's it say?
27th. It's the 27th is next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Yeah.
The 27th is Tuesday.
Is it?
Same day as the test?
Yeah.
That was poor planning on some teachers' part, like me.
So you can postpone the project to Thursday and we do the test Tuesday.
Well, let me see. Isn't that beautiful? It's just
The woods.
gorgeous. Syllabus, syllabus, syllabus. Where's the syllabus there? All right, September, October. The presentation, no. Oh, yes, oh, that was dumb. Poor planning, not dumb.
Project due on
They're all completed.
the 29th.
Because the test only takes half the class.
You know, if you want to move it towards like November, we can.
Yeah. I would say it, so. That'd work.
Not necessarily.
Actually, I have one PowerPoint, but
What else?
see, I started it. Yeah. GAB.
I've done something here.
Psychology and Christianity, psychology and Christianity.
I just read the book on the project. This psychology book.
Oh. I interviewed about pastor.
Oh, I'm glad to hear things are being done. I like that, I like that. November 3rd.
Let's do November.
Presentation due November
I
3rd.
didn't see it on my document.
But is the project due on the 27th?
No,
Okay.
the paper and the presentation, you'll give the presentations on the November 3rd. David, did you get that?
Amen.
I'll post it in the group chat. I'll tell him right now.
Okay, and I'll,
Election day.
oh,
It's a good day to give a presentation, right?
yeah. All right, you're dismissed. I'm gonna write that down.
I really don't feel good.
So, let's cut this.